Okay, we are recording. Blessed be everyone. Welcome to the full moon. It's the last full moon for the year 2020. So that's good. It's exciting. Cancerian full moon, very emotional full moon. Definitely feeling that. Yeah, so I thought tonight we'll just meditate on the energy of the moon and feeling into the energy of the moon and bringing the energy into our bodies. Just basically meditating on the energy of the moon tonight, because we can't see the moon here because it's cloudy, but can still tap into the energy of it. Okay, so we'll get started. If anybody comes in to Zoom, I'll just let them in as we go. And for those of you who are new to the lives, what we do is, because we're in two hemispheres, we don't set up a circle because that would be confusing because we do it differently in different hemispheres. So we just use the circle of light from the daily practice for our circle. You're always welcome, of course, to set up a circle before we start and pop yourself in your circle with your mobile phone or your laptop or whatever you're using for Zoom and get in there. And what we normally do is we do like the ritual entry, and then we go into some sort of guided meditation or energy work, depending on the theme. And then we close up and we have the discussion. Okay, so if you haven't already got yourself organized with a candle or being in the dark, or if you want to be in the dark, do so now. Get yourself comfortable. Okay, and you can either close your eyes or keep them open for this part. And if you can mute yourselves as well, that would be good, so we don't hear any background noise. Getting comfy? Okay, good. Okay. We'll just start by centering ourselves, taking a nice deep breath in and letting it out. Just feeling that connection to the space that you're in. It might be outdoors, it might be indoors. And just feeling how grounded you are, your connection to whatever surface it is that you're sitting on. Feeling that surface taking your weight as the earth takes its weight. And if you are sitting on the ground, just feeling the earth underneath you. And just feeling the space around you too. And if you do have your eyes closed, just sensing the space between you and the walls. Or if you're doing this outside, the space between you and the nearest object. Getting that sense of space. And now we're going to bring in that circle of light. So we make or bring light into our hearts. into our hearing light and sight light, before us light and behind us light, above us light and below us light, to our right light and left light, making us one with the light, and just feeling that light expanding out all around us. And on this powerful night of the full moon, we practice the ancient rites. And even if you can't see the moon right now, just be aware of where the moon may be. And see the moon in your mind's eye. Hail to the luminous queen of the night sky. Hail to the lady of the full moon. Tonight, we come together to honor your power. Tonight, we are as one. Your beauty and power, strength and magnetism are felt within and without us. We honor the Great Mother. We honor the alluring, nurturing, and receiving power of the Divine Feminine. And we bask in your light and glory. And we feel your energy pouring down upon us. The energy of your lunar rays penetrating buildings, coming into our rooms, through windows, through doors, and feeling your energy and your light all around us. Queen of the luminous night sky, hear our call. We are as one. We draw in your light. We breathe in your light. Through our pores, we feel your power coming into our bodies. We feel your light shining within us. We feel your light glowing about us. We are your beauty, your magic, and your wisdom. We are your compassion, and we draw you in. We draw you within. We are one. Just feeling the energy and the rays of the moon with each breath in. And if the energy is too much for you, you can always ground that energy by channeling it down through your spine into the ground beneath you, so that you're grounding that lunar energy. So just feeling the pull of the light of the moon shining down your head. And as she does, just allow any tension to melt away. So you can pull in this light of the moon without any tension in your body. So that way the energy will flow a lot better. And on your out breath, just allow that energy of the moon to just wash any tension out of your body. You may want to begin with your head, feeling your face and jaws relax. As you feel the light traveling down your spine, through your neck and your torso, feeling it release any stress in your arms and hands, and just feeling that tension washing out of your body. Out of your hips and thighs, washing down, down, down. Out your knees, your calves and your feet. And you may just want to channel that energy down into the ground. And feel your whole body being lit by the light of the moon. And the moon can help you find clarity, especially emotionally and intuitively, on anything that you may be experiencing in your life that you need more clarity about. And just ask the goddess of the moon to enlighten you, to give you more clarity. So we ask you, great goddess of the moon, who is the moon, to bring us clarity where we need clarity. As we finish this year of 2020 and move towards a new era, a new year, bring us the clarity that we need to move forward in wisdom, in spirit, to fulfill our purpose, and to keep us free from being distracted by the illusions and antics of the egos of the world, including our own. Give us clarity about where we need to find the truth within ourselves of who we are and the courage to stand in that truth. I'm just going to give you a few moments to just allow that light to penetrate through you and just allow your mind to just wander, to see where it leads you. Just thinking clarity and see where it leads you. Now just taking whatever energy you need right now and giving the rest back to the earth. Really feel that grounding down into the ground of the energy. And just feel your connection to the surface that you're sitting on. Feel the connection to the earth beneath you. Really trying to ground that energy. We thank you, Goddess of the Moon, for your presence and your blessings, your wisdom and your clarity. Stay if you wish, or go if you must. We give offerings and thanks to all of the spirits local to where we live and perform our rites, to our ancestors. May all be pleased and fulfilled. Blessed be. Thanks, gone to sleep. If you've got any water or anything there, make sure you have a drink or something just to make sure the energy is grounded. Lunar energy can be a bit, yeah, you really want to ground yourself. You don't want to stay up in the lunar energy for too long. Okay, you can unmute yourselves too if you want. Oh. I can't laugh. How's everyone? Good?
Good.
Better.
Great.
Very good. Very nice.
Yeah, I could have actually stayed in that longer, but I thought, yeah.
It's actually nice staying up in the clouds. Often I don't want to come back.
I know, it can be a bit...
Second that.
Well, that's, I guess, that aspect of the moon that can be a bit... where the, I guess, the dark side of the moon, which is like addiction and that kind of thing, can come into it, being addicted to that otherworldly energy. Yeah.
Yes, and basically not wanting to come back to lots of realities.
Yes. Yeah, staying that sort of being in a bit more of an illusory kind of world, which is definitely an aspect of the lunar energy, that's for sure.
Yes.
Disassociating. In a good way.
Yeah, yeah. It's like anything, you can have too much of anything.
Yeah.
Yes,
Detaching.
sorry, I found myself running through my year actually, and then just anticipating next year, and just thinking ahead a little bit. But I found myself going down that track and just doing a bit of a retrospective of 2020.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've kind of got to know where you've been sometimes in order to know where to go, because that's all part of it. It's all part of the journey.
Mm.
Okay. Anybody have anything they wanted to share from that?
Yeah, so for me, when you started talking about the tension or something to that effect, and you may not have even talked about it, but I became acutely aware of how much tension I have been carrying around for the last few days with the holidays and everything. Okay, time to let that go. It was a very good release to let that go into the ground.
Yeah, holidays can be full of tension sometimes.
Just a little bit.
They're not supposed to be, but they can be. Especially Christmas, with families and craziness of people everywhere and shopping. And although I don't know what's going on in other parts of the world with lockdown, but it's been crazy here with shopping and.
Yes, I'm lucky I've been let off the hook because I don't have kids, etc. So yes, it was a mistake to go down to the local shop the day before because I that was ridiculous because everybody they were beeping their horns. Road rage.
Oh yeah, it was craziness.
Is the season.
It is. This is the season to be merry. Okay. So we only had one question this week. So that was yours, Ildika, about. I love your picture of the affirmate too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, nice.
Yes, I did actually see from the module you saying about stainless steel and the dagger, and then I saw that picture from the other supplier, the local supplier, and I was just really drawn to that. So yes, have I made a huge mistake by picking iron? Or yes, I just wanted you to elaborate on that.
Yeah, iron is probably one of the original tools used before steel came along. So, and iron's used a lot in magic. It's a very magical metal. So you certainly can be using your affirmate for lots of magical purposes because iron is the blood of the earth. It's just traditionally in Wicca anyway, it's steel because there is that belief or that the fair folk are offended by iron, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, given that iron is in the earth and that they're earth spirits. So, but that's really the only reason. And steel too, I think, came about more from tradition again. You're looking at tradition with the influence of the Golden Dawn on Wicca, and they use steel daggers. But iron is fine. It's a very, very magical metal, and you can certainly still use it to project energy for sure. So yeah.
The fair folk that you're speaking of, was that in which time? Would have that been medieval or?
I have to look at the history of that because apparently there is a historical reference that may be something more to do with folklore than actual fact.
Yeah.
I don't work with the fair folk, so I can't speak like somebody who does work with them. But like we use iron cauldrons and things, so I've never had a problem with that. So yeah, I've got to look at that, at where that came from, because it looks like that may have come from folklore.
Oh, well,
somewhere.
I can do some research too. I should check that out. And I can see how steel is associated with, you know, the Lady of the Lake and that kind of power, which is Celtic, isn't it?
Yeah, but the Celts also, there was iron before steel. So iron was used, same with obsidian. A lot of athames are made out of iron, made out of obsidian. So you can still use those metals. It's just that steel is probably the more modern metal that we work with. It's very, very hard, but it goes through the same processes that if you're forging anything iron. It's just if you were working, I guess, with the spirits like the fair folk, I probably wouldn't use iron. But you can still do your circle with iron and do your banishing with iron for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so still use it the same way you'd use your athame.
Great. And so I was starting to get confused a little bit between wands and athame.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate, please?
You can use them pretty interchangeably for a lot of things. So you can use your wand to draw a circle, the same you would with your athame. You can use your wand to invoke the elements. You work with archangels, invoke the archangels. The wand isn't invoking, so it's like come to me or be seen sort of thing. It's used in ceremonial magic as for invocation. The wand is also used as a way to control the spirits as well in ceremonial magic. They'll tap the altar with the wand if the spirit's getting out of hand or something like that. So it's kind of used more as an invocation tool, but you can still project energy. It's just that the energy's probably got more, because metal is more conductive sort of substance. We definitely use metal to banish and to project energy out over a longer space. So in outdoor rituals, for example, often they'll use swords to do the circle, because the sword's much longer and you can get a lot more energy moving through it.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so you can use your wand pretty much for invocation and doing the circle, projecting energy out. But for banishing, it's definitely more the athame.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just starting to look into module 5, and I like how you describe it as chunky. Because, well, it's good because it's over the holiday season, so it gives us, you know, time to do that, have a look at it. So that was very clever on your part. Well done. Yeah. So no, I'm really enjoying it, and then I can do some research about the fair folk. Yeah. They might be easily offended, like that lady with, you know, who was telling me what to do with my dog.
Exactly. And you do get a lot of myths in, and there's a lot of myths in witchcraft as well. Like you'll get a lot of witches who will believe a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily true. It's just something that's been handed down through superstition and folklore. So sometimes you just got to look and see, or test things out for yourself if you're game, to see whether something may be true or not, that kind of thing.
Suppose that's where we really need to ask for discernment.
Yeah, exactly. Because there is a lot of, those old wives' tales and beliefs that are superstition. So some superstition comes from more truth, but some superstition isn't really coming from truth, or it comes from something else that was going on. A lot of the Christian influence too influenced a lot of the way people believed and what people believed in as well through time. So you've got to kind of do the research and see where things actually come from. You know, like the witch's hat, for example, more or less comes from the medieval times, and possibly from the way the Christians treated the Jews than anything to actually do with witches. Yeah.
And then you've also got things like the dunce hat, you know.
Yeah.
When there was a so-called dummy in the classroom, you know, that kind of dunce hat as well.
Mm. You had the brewer maids who were brewing beer and selling beer, and they wore the hats. That's supposed to be another place that it may have come from. History is, these things pop up in various places throughout history, and then in modern times we sort of adapt them, and yeah, just looking back at the history and seeing what may be fact and what's fiction, and being discerning, and learning to test things out for yourself too, and see what it is for yourself too.
Because wands are always in the realm of fairies, and you know, fairy parties and using the wand to sprinkle fairy dust. That's very popular. And I read this article about the popularization of unicorns, you know, and how unicorns were a sacred mythical animal, which they've commercialized and everything. You know, now you can get unicorn lunch boxes, and you know, we're talking about.
I have a granddaughter who's obsessed with unicorns.
Yeah, it's interesting. Or even, I haven't seen the latest movie of The Witches from Roald Dahl. I saw the version with Angelica Houston, but you know, Roald Dahl's take on the role of witches, which comes up in so many of his tales as well. But has anybody seen The Witches, the recent movie?
No, I'd like to.
No, I haven't seen it yet. Just curious. Yeah.
Unicorns are supposed to be symbols of magic. Yes. But yeah, they do tend to be look very very light white sort of reputation, I guess. I guess the New Age has made that the case.
Very prominent in the movie Legend.
Yes.
That was on TV yesterday. I was like, oh my God. Legend. And I had, it was such, it's been years since I've seen that. And I was saying to my daughter, you've got to watch this. And she's like, oh, that's boring. I'm like, oh my God, it's the best movie. But anyway, it's a different era.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, Robert, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. So when I came across that fairy don't like iron concept that Ildika was talking about, I did some digging into that, and I did stumble onto some stuff that suggested that the Fae don't like iron because in the Bronze Age, iron brought down the Bronze Age, and it had something to do with their involvement with that. So you'd have to do your own research and read further into it. But that was one concept that came up as to why the Fae don't like iron.
Might have had something to do with the Tuatha Danann people, and I guess the rivalry with the next group of people that came along too. So yeah, it could have something to do with tribes taking over other tribes or that kind of thing as well, with the iron and the bronze as well. Yeah.
They're very Celtic, sort of Irish, Scottish, the Fae, aren't they? They're very culturally, very sort of, they seem to be to me, like, and they like shiny things, don't they, fairies? So maybe they didn't like the iron taking over because it's not so shiny.
Maybe. I haven't actually done any work outside with iron, so I don't know. Like I'm all sort of aware of the earth spirits, but I don't necessarily engage them in any way to work with them or anything like that. I've never sort of been oriented towards working with the earth spirits in that way at all. It just hasn't been my leaning. There's so many spirits that you can work with.
Mhm.
You can't work with them all. Or maybe you can. So yeah, I don't know from, like, I haven't actually gone and asked them, for example, you know, is iron offensive to you? You know, that would probably be the thing to do, really, would be to ask them.
I'll be the guinea pig,
Well, I suppose if you're not working with the Fae, Ildika, it wouldn't matter if you used iron or not, because you're not working with the Fae, are you? At the moment.
Well, here's another fun fact: is if you research what goes into making steel, it all has iron in it anyway.
Yeah.
Iron's in everything.
It's just
It's in us.
Base metal.
It's in us. It's in our blood.
Yeah, I love that you call it the blood of the earth. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the traditional name of it. So yeah. So it's in the earth. I mean, your iron-rich soil, and where we get it from is from the earth. So.
It's great.
What was the significance of the witch's hat versus how Christians treated Jews? I've never heard that
Apparently,
connection.
back in the Middle Ages, they made them wear pointy hats.
Ah, okay. I
The
was
Jewish
not
people.
aware of that.
Yeah, the Christians
that?
made the Jews wear the pointy hats so that people would know that they were Jews, because they were
Ah.
persecuted as well. So during the Middle Ages, when there was the Inquisition, it wasn't just witches that were burnt at the stake, the Jews were burnt at the stake too.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The Christians hated the Jews
Mm.
back then.
So sad. Because they were different.
Yeah, and I think also because they wouldn't convert to Christianity, because the same thing happened with Islam as well. The Muslims hate the Jews for the same reasons. The Jews don't go around proselytizing, but they stick to their own beliefs, and they didn't want to convert to Christianity or Islam. And so because Christianity and Islam are both very warrior and believe that they are the only religion, then the Jews were always kind of an enemy, because the Jews just wouldn't buy it. And they were so powerful, the Jews, because there was a lot of them, they couldn't take over the Jews like they did the pagans. So yeah, they always got the bad end of the stick.
I read somewhere that the pointy hat symbolized something about being closer to the universe or the moon, or I don't know, like being higher up above your body or something. I don't know.
There is there's some people say there's a connection to that in the pineal gland as well. So it's like a way of drawing the energy up. I know that in the Tibetan Buddhists have a particular hat that they wear that's a bit of a pointy hat when they're doing chakra work.
Yeah.
So there may be something in that, but I think you can draw energy without necessarily wearing something. Maybe it just helps with the feeling of drawing energy up.
Like a conductor, sort of.
Yeah. So it's also seen as a wisdom thing as well. Like wearing the hat could also be like, you know, the wise wizard hat. So it's had that reference as well. It's had a lot of different references throughout history, the pointy hat. So it is now, it's associated with witches. So I guess we've got it. We've got it too.
Yeah.
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
So concerning like specifically Gaia. So before, you know, I started this course, I would really relate to, you know, the mother as Gaia, Mother Earth, you know, Father Sky, that kind of thing. And the more reading and research I do into that, I notice that, you know, I don't hear people talking about working with Gaia the way you would hear them working with other deities. And I was curious if you had any opinions or could speak to why that is. When I think of Gaia, I mean, that is the mother energy of the earth embodied. And yeah, I don't hear people, you know, like their matron is Gaia or they work with Gaia in that way. So
yeah, I don't hear a lot of, yeah, as far as witches are concerned, I haven't heard a lot of people, or come across a lot of people who work with Gaia. Gaia is the earth, so she's like, that's like the spirit of the earth is Gaia. So that is working with the planetary energy of the earth. The same way you'd work with Jupiter if you're working with the planetary energy of Jupiter. I don't know. I don't know why people don't. Maybe Gaia isn't. She's kind of. Maybe it's because she is the earth. So people are working with other deities. I don't know. I haven't come across anybody who works specifically with Gaia either. I hear a lot of people who are not witches, who are kind of more into sort of New Age shamanism, that want to heal Gaia and work a lot with healing the planet, but not actually invoking Gaia or working with Gaia for magic or ritual or anything like that. I don't see any reason why you couldn't. You know, same as any other deity.
Isn't Gaia kind of the primordial beginning of all that in the mythology? Or do I have that, am I mistaken about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, like Mother Earth and indigenous cultures. Yeah, Australian Aboriginal culture, they talk about Father Sky, Mother Earth, and so do the Native Americans, don't they?
Yeah.
Very ubiquitous. Very ubiquitous.
What does that mean? Ubiquitous.
All over the place.
Oh.
Most cultures, ancient cultures, and even modern day civilizations, whether you were to go into Africa, South America, they pretty much all embrace those ideas.
Yep. So she's an aspect of the feminine. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to work with her, certainly work with her and get to sense what her energy is for yourself and how you can work with her.
Yeah, you know, I think I have been for years and didn't really pinpoint it out like, well, this is what I'm doing. But I have always been associated with the mindset that, you know, like most days I'll get up and do my, you know, daily devotionals and the morning routine and the altar work and meditation and all that. Some days I get up and maybe I feel off that day and I just don't feel like doing it. So I'll make it real simple and go outside and stick my feet on the earth and thank Mother Earth and Father Sky for today. You know, that just being grateful and start projecting that kind of energy out and taking in the energy from both of, you know, the Mother Earth and the Father Sky too. So I guess to me, I've always associated Gaia as a name that embodies the spirit of the mother energy that is what you think of, you know, when you think of Mother Earth. But for me, it's gone beyond that into a general universal goddess energy. But and I don't know if that's incorrect to think of it that way. I've just never heard anybody talking about that. And the more I go with this journey, the more I realize that Mother Earth energy is what I really understand and communicate with. You know, when I'm grounding, it's there. When I'm doing anything, I feel that connection, you know, and so I haven't felt that connection with any of the other deities I've worked with
Mm.
in that sense. But then again, what I'm presenting is very general. It's not, it is putting a name on it, but it doesn't feel like, oh, it's restricted to the earth. It feels like Gaia is all over the place. It's the divine feminine to me,
Yeah.
the way that I've related to it. Yeah.
Well, it is like that. It's like the energy of the Earth's all over the place too. It's not just in the globe of the sphere of the planet.
Right.
The Earth's energy is out there influencing the same way the other planets are influencing.
Yeah. So I'll
We
have
don't
to
think of
accept
ourselves
that.
of how we may influence the other planets. When you think of astrology, we're always thinking about it from Earth-centric point of view of how they're influencing us. But what about how
Good
Earth's
point.
influencing
Yeah.
them?
That's an excellent point.
Yeah. A bit scary, actually, to think of how we may be influencing them.
I definitely experienced that sense of the earth watching lava at night in Hawaii, and seeing that in my mind, there's just an appreciation for the Polynesian people and their belief in Pele. I could definitely, it was palpable. It was just a real sense of there's something more going on here than what meets the eye.
Mm. Mm.
Definitely, and there's that link with the Maori people of New Zealand as well. And there's been a lot of, well, there's always volcanic activity, but there was something recent in Hawaii, an explosion, wasn't there, happening?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm.
If I might too, I wanted to add this is my first meeting with you folks, and this is great. I just looked at the time and I thought, oh my goodness, I could spend the rest of the night doing this. So this is wonderful. I feel like a sponge, just here to learn and absorb, and really just appreciate all of you, and definitely Sandra, mega kudos to you for making this happen.
Oh, good, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be with people of like mind and yeah, just be with people, especially at this time when there's a lot of isolation out there. Thank you for being part of it, all of you.
Yes.
Hey. Yeah, I was quite reluctant to do this. It took me quite a few years to get around to it. So, yeah.
You've done
Are you
it.
glad you
Those things that
did?
you look,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I am now.
yes, definitely.
Mm.
One of those things that on the surface you look at it and you think, oh, that would be pretty simple and straightforward, and then you get down to the brass tacks and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of detail here.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of tapping, a lot of EFT.
I have seen on your website references to that, and I'm not familiar with what that is. Do you have a moment to briefly explain what that is?
So tapping or emotional freedom technique is, it uses the Chinese meridian points or various Chinese meridian points where you tap on them. And as you tap on them, scientifically speaking, you calm the amygdala down in the brain. So they have actually done experiments where they see this actually has an effect on your nervous system. So it calms the nervous system. And what that seems to do is if you're tapping on like an emotion, like an upsetting emotion like anger or anxiety or fear or any emotion, if you're tapping as you're talking about what you're feeling, that because it's calming the amygdala down, it allows your subconscious mind to sort of come on board. It can actually calm the emotions down. And if the emotion is relating to an event, say an event from the past or present event, or if it's a belief that's causing the emotion, then it can actually, because it's calming the nervous system down while you're thinking of the event or while you're thinking the thought, it actually changes the relationship of the emotion to the thought and basically acts as a pattern interrupt, so that the mind body gets basically the connection gets it's like it gets disconnected in some way. So you end up, by the end of it, becoming more clear in your thinking. The emotional impact gets taken away, and often as a result of that, the thought will change because it's no longer being fed by the emotion, or the event will lose its emotional impact. So it's very good for trauma and those sorts of things. But it uses the meridian points. So the non-scientific explanation is that it's energetic. So it's a form of energy psychology. And what Gary Craig, who was the one that came up with EFT, believed was that there's like, if you've got an emotion, an uncomfortable emotion, there's like a glitch or a zzz in the energy field, and what the tapping does is it clears that away, which it does do, because it's clearing the emotional blockages away, so that you relax and you can become, your energy flows a lot better.
I think I could benefit from some of that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's the best modality I've ever tried for myself to help me with all my stuff that I've had to work through and still work through. Yeah, for sure. It's really good. It's great for anger, working with anger, and anxiety, sadness, helps with grieving. Yeah, and beliefs. It's really, really good at changing unhealthy beliefs or negative beliefs, limiting beliefs.
We'll have to do some homework on that.
Are you still doing the tapping on Saturdays?
I'm not doing it on the Saturdays at the moment. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to do that or not.
Yeah. I kept meaning to catch up, but then I'd miss the live, and then I'd do the live and I'd miss the next one, or vice versa. I missed a few lives, but yeah, I just sort of lost the rhythm of, I only did it a couple of times, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that this year, as far as the group stuff's concerned anyway.
Yeah.
Still working one-on-one. Sorry, Sev, you had your hand up.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to ask you, is that the same as NLP?
No, it's very different to NLP. You can use tapping with NLP. You can use tapping pretty much with anything. There's a little bit of NLP in the traditional or the basic recipe in EFT, but it's not the same thing as NLP.
Okay. Cool.
NLP uses a lot of hypnotherapy techniques and imagery. Yeah. I find it much more effective than NLP. NLP never worked very well for me.
Yeah. Someone tried it on me, but I didn't know what to expect, and I really didn't enjoy the experience. I found it got really personal as well.
Yeah.
EFT,
because it works with the body, you can bypass the trauma. So if something's really traumatic, so if some people who've got like post-traumatic stress disorder or something like that, instead of having to relive the memory, EFT can actually bypass that by working with what's going on in the body and working with the bodily sensations.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool.
Actually, I like that video you did about about clearing, using sound to clear energy without revisiting painful memories. The chakra, the base chakra, I found that really interesting, and I love that whirly thing that you had.
Oh, the whirlies, yeah.
Yeah, actually, Sandra, that whirly thing, the video that you've got on YouTube, when you know where you put the link,
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to add .au, because otherwise it takes you to a site where it's it gives you a warning sign.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I forgot to copy the AU on the end.
Yeah, so then I
My
put
copy and
AU at
pasting
the
is-
end. Yeah, I put AU at the end, and then it took me to the site.
Okay.
Oh, did
Yeah.
it? I just thought that happened to me too, and I just thought, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just sort
okay.
of
It's probably because it doesn't exist.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to go and add that. That's because I copied that. Yeah, I'll have to go and check and see if the original address had that on the end of it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because even watching it through the computer, I could feel, well, my phone actually, I could feel that the sound energy sort of going through. It was really nice. And that whole thing about having a sacral, the root chakra being open and all that, and being blocked, and, you know, and not having to revisit things too directly, I think it's a great idea, you know, like, yeah. And also the stuff you were talking about with when you were talking about what I watched your recent one on water, the water element. It's interesting because how you were saying, you know, if you've got too much water, and I've heard of that before, but I never really understood it, or too much of, not too much, more of one element in your chakra system, more one open than the other or whatever. But just as an example, like yesterday it was really, really hot here, and I got annoyed with my daughter. We had a bit of a thing, and we went to the pool. Oh, that's where I wanted to go. I needed to get in the water, and I was really annoyed because she didn't want to go. But I also hadn't done my daily. So I hadn't done my daily meditation. I hadn't grounded myself, had a big dummy spit, and then we went to the pool, and it was great. It was all good, but it just goes to show, you know, it's easier looking back in hindsight. Oh, I should have done my daily, and, you know, should have got under the shower or something, you know. But I like the way you said you know, and floating always really does it for me too, feeling part of the earth, floating. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that, because but it's easier, it's sort of done in hindsight, like I shouldn't have got angry. So then I did a little bit of shadow work where I talked to the goddess I talked to and said, you know, please take my anger, shame and guilt so they can move on, because then I get guilty feelings, and that triggers that whole self hate shit, you know. So I really have to knock that on the head, because it doesn't help anyone then, because then I get I found I had some negative thoughts, some ones I hadn't had for a long time, you know, self-harming thoughts, which is just that other part of my psyche that wants to go, oh, you're feeling down, you're beating yourself up, are you? Okay. It's just, yeah, it's just not on. So I thought, no, that's not happening. But what I was trying to get at was, like, you know, trying to balance all those, use those tools that you're talking about to balance out anger. Anger's a big one for me, because I'm not angry every day, but I have outbursts. And they
water is a good one for that. Yeah, definitely water. Cools it down.
More water. Yeah, maybe I'm too much fire, but I'm an air sign, so I don't know.
I'm an earth sign. I've got a lot of planets in earth signs, but and air, but I've got a hell of a lot of fire. Like, from an elemental point of view, I have to use a lot of water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself that you need to always drink water too?
Yeah.
You always have to
Oh,
have
all the
water?
I have to
time here.
remind myself to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to drink water.
That's actually very illuminating for me, because I grew up in a city right near the beach, and oftentimes whenever, you know, what you're talking about there, as far as feeling angry, frustrated, and I just lived a few blocks away from the beach, and I could walk down there and spend time in front of Mother Ocean, and all my problems went away. But where I live now, I'm quite a few miles away. As far as the geography here of the United States, I live in a place where the beach is somewhat accessible, but I really don't get to see it very often. And there are people who live further east from me. I joke that they probably get to see the ocean more often than I do. So that's I appreciate that. Thank you, because that definitely shines a light for me as far as times when I'm feeling out of control and fiery like that. That I need to do something where I have more access to water.
Mm. Yeah, water's good for that. I certainly can vouch for that.
And I'm an earth sign. I believe Virgo is an earth sign. Is that correct?
Yep, it's an earth sign.
Yeah,
Yep.
Virgo's rule.
My son's in Virgo. Yeah. My planet's in Virgo, actually. Yeah.
Well, you were even talking about, Sandra, like if you couldn't get to the water for a swim, like a beach or a pool, like just to get in the shower,
Get in
you
the
know?
shower, yeah.
Yeah.
Or bathtub, or yeah, or if you've got
Bath,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I even, what's that?
A cold shower.
Mm.
Cold shower.
Yeah, cold is better than hot. If you're fiery, you want the cool, the cold,
Yeah.
the coolness of the.
My grandmother, she lived till 102, and she had cold showers, even in cold weather. And there's a whole movement now with
Yeah.
Wim Hof, who's
Mm.
an Iceman.
Mm-hmm.
And pre-COVID, you know, he would have a stadium of people going into ice baths and using meditation to push themselves through. But yes, it's you know, hydrotherapy was bad in my grandmother's day, you know, and if only the doctors here in Australia or in other places would prescribe that you go to a day spa once a year.
That'd be great. And they
They
could
wouldn't
pay
make
for
any
it
money
too.
off of that.
No, they wouldn't.
They could pay for it.
But they splash people with cold water. They literally hose them down.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, look up hydrotherapy or Wim Hof. He's known as the Iceman.
Yeah, I've seen documentaries of his where people are jumping in the icy water, and yeah.
But they do it in Russia, you know, on New Year's Day. They go in an ice hole. It is a thing also in Nordic countries, going into the sauna, whipping yourself with a birch leaf, and then
Going out into the snow. Yeah. Yeah.
No thanks. There's one little thing that I learned from somewhere, and it's like part of a ritual, to like a cleansing ritual. Have you heard of this, Sandra, where you get a bay leaf and you burn your bay leaf, you have a bowl of water and you drop it into the water?
Oh yeah.
Have you heard that? And there's some sort of name you say, but I do that, and maybe put a bit of salt in the water too. I use moon water or whatever. But because bay leaves are so cleansing and good for lots of things, I quite often do that before I'm going to do a meditation or a invocation or a daily. I just do, and then you just wash your hands with it and sprinkle it over your head. It's supposed to sort of cleanse your aura, like an incense sort of thing.
Yeah, that's good for cleansing. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to the elements, if you're wanting to cool yourself down, if you're a bit fiery, you probably want to try and immerse yourself in the water for at least 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you're really getting that water into, getting that connection with the water. You can do it energetically too. You can build the water energy or do the pore breathing and breathe in water, the water element as well, and do meditations with water. But it's always easier if you've actually got the physical element there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know what it is. Part of depression that I have trouble getting under the shower. I like swimming. I love swimming, but I have trouble showering. There's something about it that I put off doing. So I actually put some rose quartz in my shower recess, and try and do a little bit of affirmation when I do have a shower. It sounds really bad. It sounds like I'm a stinky feral. And yeah, maybe I am, but I do shower, but I do have trouble having, like, you know, it's a part of depression is you find it hard to be motivated to do sort of things like that. But maybe that's why I just need to get under the shower more, because I got this beautiful patchouli soap, and, like, you know, there's all these nice cleansing washes you can do, and that I avoid it. I don't know why.
What
Yeah.
about a bath? Have a bath.
I don't have a bathtub. I would love to have a bathtub.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Bathtubs are good. Yeah.
Anyway,
It's kind of
that's
ironic.
just,
Sometimes we avoid the things that are best for us. I've talked to my wife about that. It's a strange psychological thing that it's hard to explain why.
yeah.
You're finding out what it is about the shower, what it is about the feeling of it. That's finding out what's the belief that's creating it, because it'll be a belief.
There's maybe a bit of vulnerability and all that other stuff. Yeah. Anyway, that meditation was really good. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Go on.
Sandra, I wanted to ask you, maybe this is a bit too broad of a question at this juncture, but just reading a little bit of your biography and your experiences, what was it like doing coven work?
It was fun. It was really good. We used to go camping. We used to do our rituals out in the bush or in the forest, which was really good. Yeah, it was we'd meet every week for training. So it was a training coven. So, and then we'd meet for full moons, and we'd do the Sabbats. The Sabbats were public, so we could invite people along to the Sabbats. They could either join in or sit and watch. And yeah, we just went through the sort of the process, the initiations and all of that. It's a lot of fun if you're in the right group and you've got people who are really good at organising. Brian and Kanaz were very good at organising the things, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun, but you've got to find the right people. But you certainly learn a lot from other people. Yeah, I learned a lot from that. Yeah. I think probably most of what I probably learned from the coven experience. I'd been on my own for 2 years prior to finding the coven, because they're hard to find.
Indeed.
Yeah, so yeah, it was about 2 years before I found them. So I had a little bit of knowledge, but it was just totally different when you're working and you're doing group rituals and things. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Certainly beats being solitary.
Pardon me?
It beats being solitary.
I can imagine. And probably something that is so mischaracterized in the media.
Totally. Yeah, totally. It's something, I think people just have this well, yeah, it's the way it's been portrayed. It's nothing, well, our coven I was in was nothing like, well, the 2 covens I was in. The second one we hived off, so we were mostly female. We didn't have a lot of guys in that one. The first one, yeah, it was just a group of people who were interested, and it was like this, except we weren't online. We were physically, you know, in the same proximity, basically. Yeah. Robert, you got your hand up.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just had a quick quick question. I was watching it was either in our last ritual or Facebook Live or something. Somebody started talking, and you mentioned curse breaker with a candle and a cauldron and water. Have you done a video on that, or have we discussed that somewhere? Because I have no recollection of that, and I was
The
just
one with
curious.
the cauldron. I don't know if I put that one in the course or whether I put something else in the course. I did do a curse breaker, but I can't remember which one. There's so many. I haven't done a video on that one. Yeah,
That
that'll
would be
be
in the
in.
defensive one.
Yeah, protective and defensive magic. That
I'll
one
go
of,
back through there and see if I can find it.
yeah, I think I actually came across that one in one of Scott Cunningham's books, actually. I think that's where I originally found it, because it's been
Scott
with me for a long time. So Scott Cunningham was a writer back in the 90s. He was one who brought Wicca really out of the closets and made it more user-friendly and a little bit more palatable for people, because he didn't follow the strict coven, the traditional coven way of working. He worked a little bit differently, a little bit more shamanically, I guess. He didn't use the pentagrams to invoke the quarters and things like that. He was, yeah, he was pretty good. I really have enjoyed his books, but he was probably a bit more shaman oriented rather than ritualistically oriented.
What do you think of the Guide to the Solitary Practitioner, that book?
Oh, that's Scott Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
The book?
Yeah.
I think it's a really good book for people to start on, especially if they don't really know much about it.
Yeah.
Because it is very simple, but it's effective. Because that's the first book I had, was that book, and I was using.
I read that book per your recommendation. Yeah, good book, good book.
Yeah, and I was working out of that book for a couple of years before I found the coven. I was doing all of that stuff. Then I think I had Raymond Buckland's book, the Big Blue Book, The Complete Book of Witchcraft, which is a little bit more traditional. That's good too. I know some people don't like Cunningham or Buckland, maybe because they are from the 90s, the 80s and 90s, and people want more contemporary people. But they were pretty traditional. So, yeah.
It's difficult, and for myself, I don't know how much you recall that, in the communication that I've had with you via email and comments on your YouTube videos, but for myself, as I mentioned, having a granddaughter, I've got 3 grandchildren. I'm that age, but way back when, in the late 70s, early 80s late 70s was when I acquired my appetite for Wicca, and really didn't do too much with it seriously, and went down this path and that for decades to come afterwards. But so fast forward to here we are in the future, of all of that, contemporary age in which we live, and there's so much information out there and so many different opinions and ideas as far as which way to go. And so that's why, for whatever I'm looking at, whatever I'm reading, I sort of use what I'm learning from you and what you teach as my North Star with all of that, because otherwise it's really easy to just go adrift.
It is, because it's hard. For one thing, it's hard to do anything on our own. And when it comes to learning stuff, it's really hard to learn things on our own, particularly when there's a lot of information out there, because you need a plan, and learning's a process. Like it's something that you build. It's like scaffolding. You scaffold, you build onto what you've built before. So you've got to kind of know how then to build that learning, so that you're progressing and not just gathering bits and pieces of information here and there and trying to put it together like a jigsaw puzzle that maybe doesn't go together or something. So it makes it hard to do it on your own.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah. And I know some people don't like the whole idea of learning from other people. But really, that's how we learn as humans. That's how I've ever really learned. You know, there's always been some involvement or something that I've learned from other people. Even if there's things I have taught myself, I've still had other people's influences in there along the way.
We learn by repetition, because it's been so handy looking at your demonstrations of, you know, for example, drawing the Earth pentagram. I had to play that so many times because you went very fast, you know, and then, you know, we learn by repetition. So I find myself going back because I've forgotten something, you know. So it's a really good format for learning because I can go back and revise and then move on. So.
Yeah. It's a kind of, we spiral too when we learn, so we often go back to the same things, but every time we go back, we're going back to it with a new level of understanding. So it's just a learning process. I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a process to learning and that you kind of have to be organized with learning.
Yes.
You've got to have a structure. You can't learn without a structure. It's just not how our brains work. We need structure. And I know a lot of people who are anti-structure who just want to go with the feeling, which is fine. I mean, the feeling's good to go with, but it's only going to take you so far. You also need that structured aspect of the way that our brains work to learn things as well. We need that, the yin and the yang. Okay? We need that masculine and feminine aspects of active and receptive and organized and being more fluid. You know, we need that. We need both of those things. We can't just work with one over the other.
And can I just confirm with casting the circle that for the Southern Hemisphere, we go anti-clockwise?
Yes. Yes, we go anti-clockwise in the Southern Hemisphere, and in the Northern Hemisphere go clockwise. And it's for two reasons. One is because from the Earth point of view, the sun seems to travel in those directions in those hemispheres, and also the Coriolis effect as well, where the winds travel in those directions too, in the different hemispheres.
And just a quick share, I've had some success with your cinnamon spell, which I love.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I chose Monday as the money day, and this is a very standard, what you call a quick pick in the gold lotto. And I just bought Money Monday. I haven't got up to the part about the days, you know, best days for casting a spell, but I've chosen Monday. But so far, I won $10 the first time. This time I won $15 and I reinvested it. So I'm on a roll.
That's great.
My cinnamon is hanging up in the southeast.
Southeast, yeah.
Yeah. And it's working so far. So steps.
Yay!
Well, we won. We don't buy lotto tickets that often, but we won $9.50.
Whoa!
So since I've hung up our cinnamon as well, so I don't know. I'll see how we go on Thursday night.
I didn't.
And by the way, is it Money Monday or what day is best for
money? Monday is okay for money. Generally Thursday because it's Jupiter, or Sunday because it's the sun.
I was going on alliteration, Money Monday.
But you can do money work on a moon day, yeah.
Moon day, yeah.
Never works.
I didn't get any money, but I did that cinnamon spell too, and because I love cinnamon and I love me some little spells, nice easy ones. And I got given not as a Christmas present, but through a friend, a huge chunk of lapis lazuli, which I adore, which I've been looking for, and I couldn't afford, and a huge chunk of carnelian, beautiful, big, like free forms.
Wow.
At Christmas time, and I was like, oh, I'm so happy. So to me, that's you know, abundance. You know,
Yeah,
that's
it is,
it
yeah.
doesn't have to come in money form.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, we might call it a night. Does anybody want to jump in with anything before we go?
Yes, I have a question. Once the 12 months course is finished,
Mhm.
will there be another version, or would there be like, I'm sure there's so much more to learn that, would that be it? Or,
So far, I haven't got anything else yet.
okay,
But I'm just trying to figure out how to do to do the progression, because it's sort of more like individual things that you'd be learning next, like you'd be sort
yeah,
of specializing in different areas.
yeah,
So that makes it different. Generally in second degree, where you start to specialize, you do a bit of tarot, a bit of palmistry, a bit of more advanced magic, and then it's like different bits and pieces, which
yeah,
I know some places do teach that in second degree, but I kind of feel like there's so many good courses out there on tarot and astrology, and that you're better off if you're interested in that, you're better off doing a proper course in it rather than just having something that's got bits and pieces. So I've got to sort of figure out what I can offer that's different to what other people are offering out there.
yeah.
And what people need too. What is it that you feel you need moving forward from where we are?
Yeah, cool.
Sandra, would you consider like looking at? I know it's hard because you do southern and northern hemisphere, but things like Sabbath rituals. I know we do the full moon and the new moon, but would you consider it in the future doing I don't know, maybe a YouTube video on what to do, you know, what sort of things to include for the Sabbats? Because I find myself Googling them.
Oh, okay. So you haven't got to.
Oh,
where
that's
are
in
you
the
up
courses.
to?
Sorry, I haven't got there yet. I haven't looked at it. I just sort of mean like, you know, correspondences and, you know, little prayers and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I've got them in module 9 onwards.
Okay, so I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I should be there, but I'm not. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, if you've got them, if you've got them, yeah, you can go in and have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending which Sabbath one. Well, the next one will be Lunasa for us down here. Yeah, that's got rituals and stuff in there that you can use for Lunasa.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so I might do a survey or something to find out, for those of you who are either have finished or are close to finishing the course, what you feel you need to do, what you feel you're wanting to know next. I think that's
It's a good idea.
Yeah, because I don't really want to do the whole and this month it's tarot and next month it's astrology. You know, it just I don't feel that's really what people need. Okay.
Thanks, Sandra.
Okay. So, thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Oh yes, Happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, you too.
And we'll
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll see you again in a fortnight. Okay.
Blessed be.
Blessed be, everyone.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.